What's baking fam, it's your boy Shankamuffin here. In today's video we're doing something different. As you can see here, I'm actually on Excel, and in today's video I'll be teaching you guys on how to make a farming spreadsheet here in Excel, specifically though for your herb runs. Now, you may be asking yourself, why exactly would you want to create a farming spreadsheet? And there are many reasons why, used to calculate how much money you would earn or lose, how much money that you would earn through the amount of trials that you've done in regards to how many seeds you've collected. So it's a good way to get an idea of how much profit or revenue that you're gaining or losing when you're doing a certain type of herb or maybe just farming in general. I use it as a way to see how many herbs I've collected out of the thousands of seeds I planted to get an idea if I were to transition to a new seed, how much money I would gain or lose compared to that original one that I did all the tests on. So this is a good way to keep track of, like, let's say the average number of dead herbs you have per trip and whatnot. And it's just something to do and you get familiar with Excel. Now, if you don't have Excel, you can certainly use, what is it, Google Spreadsheet, I think it's called. I'm not entirely sure, but you can use the Google Docs. Just be aware that some of the buttons and hotkeys may be a little bit different, and what I mean by that is maybe by the name of the button. Like, I don't know if merge and center is the same thing in the Google Spreadsheet, as well as on Google Docs. Maybe some of the formulas are not exactly the same. So like standard deviation, like stdev.p, that may not be the same thing that would be on the Google Spreadsheet. By the way, we're not using standard deviation, so you don't have to worry about that. If you don't know what that is, don't worry about it. You'll take that in stats class. All right, so the first step is to create a title. So we're gonna go to cell A1 and we're gonna type in farming herbs spreadsheet. All right, so once you have that typed out, you're gonna click on cell A1 and then you're going to hit bold. So now it is bolded, and make sure that you actually spelled everything correctly. From there, you're going to left click on cell A1, and you're also going to left click drag all the way to cell I1, and so that it goes from I1 to I2. From there, you're going to hit merge and center, and then you're going to increase the font to, let's say, 28. 28 is pretty good. And then from there, you're going to put in a paint tool with the bucket to fill the color in the background. And let's go, since we're talking about farming here, let's go with the green accent 6. So now on the left side of the screen, we're going to be putting in some useful information to keep track on how many days we've gone by in regards to the X number of seeds that you're going to plant. So I always put down day number in cell A4, and see how the words are going into cell A4 and B4. All you're going to do is click on the line that's in between A and B, and you're going to double click really quickly so that it formats it for you so the letters are not intruding on other cells. Then we're going to go to cell B4 and type in herbs collected. Once again, we're going to go in between B and C to format it, double click, and there we go. And then let's go with something like dead herbs or dead patches. Keep track of how many dead patches we received. Once again, C and D, click on that little line, do format it. And lastly, let's say the number of runs per day. So runs per day, and enter that in. And once again, double click on D and E in between with that little line, and there we go. We also would probably like to bold this, so let's bold that. And just in case, we're also going to left click from A4 all the way to D4, and we're going to put in the center align for these words. So now that all these are centered. For the simplicity of this video, we're going to start with day number, and we're going to only do 30 days of farming herbs. So click on cell A5 and type in 1, enter, and then it's automatically going to go to cell A6, and then you're going to type in 2 and enter. All right, so this is really cool with Excel. You don't have to type in all the way from 1 to 30. So you're going to left click and highlight that 1 and 2. And then once you get like a crosshair that's a solid black plus, you're going to click on it, hold it down with your left click, and you're going to drag, and you can see that we're going all the way to 30 without typing in 30. So there we go. We have 30 days of our herb spreadsheet completed. And we're going to highlight these cells again, and because of formatting purposes, we're going to center it. There we go, it looks a lot more cleaner. For our next section, I want you guys to fill in all the numbers required in the herbs collected, dead patches, and runs per day section. So you're going all the way down from day 1 to day 30. Now when you're doing this, guys, make sure that you type in equals and then you put in your numbers in for every single section of this part of the video. The reason why you want to put an equal sign here is that when you're doing math for your calculations, so when you're going to add up your revenue and profit and everything like that, and maybe seeing like how many dead herbs you had, like get the average, get the median, get the max, etc. You want to have the equal sign so that Excel does not mess up your calculations, so everything runs smoothly and everything is updated in real time. So guys, make sure you have the equal sign for all those numbers and put in whatever numbers you want, and then we can continue from there. Alright, did you fill in all of the stuff required into every single thing I told you about? Cool, awesome. Highlight it. So we're going to go from cell B5 all the way to D5, and then we're going to go all the way down to the day 30. Once again, guys, you probably already know what we're going to do. We're going to center align to make the formatting look really cool and clean. Woo! Congrats, guys, you put in all your data. Alright, time for actually doing the calculations. Alright, so we're going to make a new little section. So starting at cell E4, we're going to type in revenue. Wow, and already bolded it for me. That's pretty cool. Alright, from there we're going to highlight cell E4 and we're going to drag it all the way to cell I4. We're going to hit merge and center. And then we're going to increase the font to, let's say, 24. Alright, that looks good enough for me. And then from there we're going to highlight it with a green color. And because we're talking about revenue here, let's go with just standard color green. Then underneath that, we're going to keep that blank. So in cell F5, we're going to type in quantity. And then cell G5, we're going to type in price per unit. And then once again, because how the word is going into the H column, we're going to click in between G and H on that little line, double click. There we go, it's formatted. And then from there, we're going to type in expense in cell H5, so expense. And then finally in cell I5, we're going to type in total profit. And once again, because of the word going into the other column, double click in between with that little line. All right, so now we're going to go underneath cell E5 to E6, and we're going to type in herbs collected. And because of the formatting, how the word once again is going into the other column, in between E and F, double click on that little line, and there we go. Alright, so we're going to highlight cell E5 to I5, and we're just going to bold that. And then click on the herbs collected button, and we're going to hit bold. Yes, I know you can hit just Control B, but sometimes I like clicking it better. And then from there, we're going to put a little border around it. So in order for you to do that, we're going to highlight from cell E4 all the way to cell I6. And then right next to the underline button right here, and right next to the paint bucket, there's a little border button. And we're gonna click on the little drop down menu, and we're gonna do outside borders. And if you click away, there you go. It's formatted, it looks nice, it's pretty clean, and it is very apparent as to what we're doing right now. So next up is the expenses section. So we're gonna begin by clicking on E8, and we're gonna type in expenses. And then we're gonna highlight E8 all the way over to H8. We're gonna hit merge and center. We're gonna bold it, and we're gonna increase the font to, let's say, 24 again. And then we're going to put a little fill color in the back. And because we're talking about expenses here, we should not make it super red. Let's go to more colors, and let's try something that's not too oppressive on the eyes, but something that represents of how this is an expense. So let's go with that pink, like that pink color right here if you're in the standard tab. Let's go with that. Yeah, that's not that oppressive. That looks pretty good. Alright, in cell F9, we're going to type in quantity. and in cell G9 we're going to type in cost, and then H9 we're going to type in total cost. And then from there, at cell E10 we're going to type in seats. And then underneath that, because you already went down to the next line, we're going to type in ultra compost, or we can type in super compost or just normal compost. It's really up to you. And then from there, we're going to click on cell E8, and we're going to highlight all the way down to H11, and we're going to hit the center point button. All right, everything is centered. So now we're going to click on cell F9 and drag it all the way down by left clicking, holding down left click to H9 and hit bold. And then once again, we're going to bold these two ones. So hold down E10 to E11 and hit bold. And then I don't really like how the total cost is a little bit smudged right here. So we're going to go in between H and I and left click on that little line. And I also don't like how quantity is kind of smudged right there, so we're going to click in between F and G to make it a little bit. Actually, that didn't really help at all. Let me just actually expand it myself to, let's say, a width of 10. Yep, there we go. That looks pretty nice. Alright guys, we're also going to add a border, so it's the same thing as last time. Going to left click on E8, drag and left click all the way down to H11. And then we're going to click on borders, the drop down menu, and we're going to click on outside border. There we go, we have our little expenses section done now. So this next section isn't required at all. If you'd like to do it, then follow along with me. But in this section, we're going to be talking about some interesting data that we found through the herbs that we collected. So let's get the mean, the median, the mode, stuff like that, and get the average number of total dead patches and whatnot. So we're going to type in on cell E13 some interesting data. And we're going to highlight cell E13 to F13. We're going to increase the font to 14. We're going to bold it, and we're going to merge and center. So once again, we're going to highlight it. So click on cell E13 and click on the paint bucket tool. And let's go with like something light. So let's go with gold accent 4 lighter 40%. All right, that looks pretty nice. So down below at cell E14, we're going to type in mean, and then enter, median, enter, mode, enter. Let's go with, I don't know, average runs per day. Type that in. All right. So we do have the words going on to the next column. So in between E and F at the very top, we're going to left click on that little gray line. And there we go. So once again, we're going to highlight cell E14 through E17. We're going to make them bolded, and we're going to center all of the words there to make it look clean. And now we're going to create another border. This should be self-explanatory by now, but highlight cell E13 all the way to cell E17. Because of it being merged, it's going to also include the F section, so like the F column. And you're going to drag down the border and do outside border. All right, now that we have formatted everything and whatnot, let's actually get into the formulas and getting this data. So we'll be beginning with our revenues section, and I forgot to center that, so I'm going to center that. So we're going to start with the quantity. So start in cell F6, we're going to type in equals, and then SUM, so sum. So in the little bar up here at the top, you're going to left click on sum, and it's going to ask for a range of numbers. So what's really cool about Excel is we're going to click on cell B5, and we're going to drag all the way down to cell B34, and then we're going to end parentheses. And Excel is going to give us a total of 3,812 herbs were collected on that day. That's pretty cool. Collected 3,812 herbs on 30 days. I'd say that's really good. That's, depending on the herb, that's quite a lot of mils. So next step is the price per unit. So currently, let's say it's Renar's and they're selling for 8,134 GP. So you type in equals, 8,134 into cell G6. And we're not going to do expense just yet. We're going to leave it there. So let's move on to expenses. Let's say we bought 1,000 herb seeds. So in the quantity area of expenses, so cell F10, we're going to type in equals, and we're going to type in 1,000 because we bought 1,000 seeds of renars. Next, we're going to go into cost. So each seed, so price per unit, each seed would cost, let's say, 36,000. So in G10, we're going to type in equals, and we're going to say 36,453. That's how much it is per seed. So there, the total cost we're going to do that now. So we're going to go to cell H10. We're going to type in equals. We're going to click on cell F10, and we're going to times that by cell G10, and then we're going to hit enter, and it's going to cost us a total of around 36 million coins to get 1,000 renar seeds. Now we got to do the same thing to ultra compost. So we're going to go to cell F11. We're going to type in equals. We're going to buy 1,000 of those, thousands of ultra compost. And ultra compost is pretty expensive right now because of the new updates that are coming out. So in cell G11, we're going to type in equals 2,000, let's say 329 gold per unit. And then total cost, that would be equals. We're going to click on cell F11 times cell G11, and we get the total cost of ultra compost at 2.3 million GP. Now in the expense section for our revenue, we're going to have to add up the total cost of the expenses. So we're going to type in equals after clicking on cell H6. And then we're going to click on cell H10 plus cell H11, and we're going to hit enter. And our expenses are a total of 38 million gold. Finally, let's go to total profit. At cell I6, we're going to type in equals and then parentheses, and we're going to click on cell F6 and then times cell G6 and parentheses, and then minus our expenses, which is cell H6, and we're going to hit enter. So far of the 30 days that we've done all of this farming, we've lost 7 million gold through the use of renar seeds with ultra compost. And that's basically how you guys do that. It's really simple. It keeps track of what you've collected, and that's about it, guys. That's it for the revenues and expenses. Let's go on to the some interesting data section. Now you may be like, hey, I don't really like how there's no commas for these thousands and it makes me uneasy. And yeah, I understand. It's pretty hard to read, but I'll help you out with that. So for all the numbers that you inputted and the revenue and expenses, you're just going to highlight them. You're going to click on like this little like half a square, and there's an arrow pointing down to the right over here in the home tab. You're going to click on that. You're going to click on number. You're going to click on decimal places 0, and you're going to click this use 1000 separator and click OK, and there we go. We have it separated. It's a lot easier to format and read. So for just the sake of this video, I'll redo it as you guys can see in real time. Highlight these numbers, click on that little like arrow thing at the number section under the home tab, decimal places, put the 0, and select use separator. And there we go. Pretty simple. Alright, so we're moving on to the some interesting data section. And for here, we're going to be interested in the average number of herbs collected. Now you can do this for the herbs collected, dead patches, runs per day. You can do anything. You want to find the average for anything, just go for it. So you're going to click on cell F14. You're going to type in equals average, and you're going to do opening parentheses, and you're going to highlight cell B1 by left clicking all the way down to cell B34, and then end parentheses. So the average number of herbs collected per day was 127. That's a pretty good amount, I'd say. That's quite a bit. Depending on what herb you're doing, that's quite a lot of money. And now let's go into the median. So we type into cell F15 and we want the middle number for the herbs collected. So we type in equals median and open parentheses. And once again, highlight cell B5 all the way to cell B34 and parentheses. Middle number is 129.5. So the median is a little bit higher than the mean. Maybe you'd like to know the mode for the dead patches, so the number that appears the most. That would make more sense, wouldn't it? Considering how many variations there are for herbs that you can collect. So type in equals into cell F16 and type in MODE for mode. Click on mode, and then you're going to highlight, let's say, C5 to C34 for the amount of dead patches that appeared the most. And the most amount that appeared was 0. So a lot of the time you don't have any dead patches on the days that you're farming. Alright, so let's get the average runs per day. So that's the same thing as before with the average for the mean. So go to cell F17 and type in equals average, open parentheses, and then highlight cell D5 all the way to D34 end parentheses. And the average runs per day that you did over the 30 days was 2.9. Now keep in mind your data is going to be a little bit different than mine. So, just keep that in mind. Anyways, guys, that's the end of this video. This is just a short tutorial on, well, I don't know about short, it's over 20 minutes long. This is a tutorial on how to do Excel farming spreadsheets, and hopefully you guys found this pretty helpful. Anyways, guys, my name is Shankamuffin. Feel free to join my Discord server and talk with me and whatnot in there. That's the best way to communicate with me. Anyways, guys, hope you have a wonderful day. I'm Shankamuffin, and I'm signing out.